for safety and convenience. Don't wait. Call Goldline today, 800-319-9027, 800-319-9027.
Well, welcome to the show, World Soccer Radio on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. I'm Nick Eber. It's a pleasure to be with you today. Actually, it's a privilege and a pleasure. We do this. That makes it a pleasurage or something like that. Anyway, what a wonderful day in football. We're going to talk all about the beautiful game right here on the Sports Byline Network, as we do every Monday through Friday from 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Right at this very location. Before we start, I'd like to put a big hello out to our men and women in uniform listening on American Forces, as well as all of the people listening on the wonderful affiliate stations of the Sports Byline Network. Of course, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio.com, and our new Ustream platform, which you can find at WatchWSR.com, and of course, everyone at World Soccer Talk. There we go. I've just put it out there. I feel like it's an acceptance speech of some sort. Speaking of acceptance speeches, let's get to it today, because on the table today, a couple of topics. We're going to talk about the big story today, which is Jurgen Klinsmann getting offered and accepting a contract extension. I've got my questions about this. When we come back, I'm going to tell you how I feel about it and why I think this is potentially a mistake. However, I'm not sure. So I'd love to hear from you. What do you think about it? Find us on Twitter at World Soccer Radio. That's at World Soccer Radio. Or you can call in studio 800-878-PLAY. We're going to be joined a little later on in the show by Morgan Green from World Soccer Talk. And, of course, my regular co-host, Danny Page, will be joining me here just shortly as soon as he gets out of his mani-pedi that he's having done. It's put him a little behind schedule. Those things do happen. That's what's on the table today. Those are the topics. Plus, we want to talk about Queen's Park Rangers possibly moving to a new facility, leaving Loftus Road. Some great memories for me there, and I'm going to tell you about them. Also, we ask you this question. Is finishing fifth really that important? And is it in some respects a death knell for the clubs that finish there? There are only a few clubs in England that can really do anything in the Europa League. Let's talk about it and what it means as Spurs progress, Wigan are out, Swansea struggle. We're going to talk about it all right here on World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA. Once again, Twitter at World Soccer Radio, 800-878-PLAY. Those are the numbers. That's the tweets. Let's get busy, shall we? It only works when you participate, so now you know how. All right, I'm Nick Geber. It is break time. If you need to use the loo, now's the time, because the show's only 1 hour, so you don't want to miss a moment of it. All right, we're going to step aside, take a break, and we will be right back right here on World Soccer Radio.
Being a stock analyst on Wall Street for over 18 years, one of the most valuable lessons I learned about making money in the stock market is finding companies with incredible upside potential and buying them at the right time. Those who bought and held Google or Apple early on made a fortune in just a few years. One of my top picks today is a technology company that could see similar returns. The company is Live Deal, and it trades under the symbol LIVE on the NASDAQ exchange. Live's new technology helps restaurants fill empty tables by attracting nearby customers. This extremely valuable technology allows restaurants to instantly publish offers to people in the area using geolocation technology. I'm 100% confident that restaurants nationwide will utilize this technology, and that's why I'm making Live my number one long-term stock pick. This investment opportunity requires your immediate attention. Live's stock price could soar as it expands into more cities and gains popularity. The time to get into Live is now, before mainstream media and Wall Street catch on. Add Live to your stock list or call your broker right now. That's LIVE. For a free report on Live, go to GetLiveReport.com.
Attention active duty National Guard, Reserve, and retired veterans. If you or loved one was injured while serving our country anytime after October 2001, you may qualify for up to $100,000 in tax-free cash TSGLI benefits, even if the injury was not related to military service. Also, if you have been denied VA disability benefits for a service-related issue, we may be able to help. To find out if you have a claim, call 888-606-9650.
Danny dialing yet?
That's
Not yet.
888-606-9650.
He'll come in when he's ready.
All right. Waiting for settlement or annuity payments but need cash now? Stop waiting years for your money. Now you have a better choice. We're Novation, and we'll pay a large lump sum of cash in exchange for settlement or annuity payments. You get the upfront cash you need and let Novation do the waiting. Call our toll-free assistance line right now and get our free DVD that explains in easy-to-understand terms how you can turn future settlement or annuity payments into cash. At Novation, we've helped thousands of people improve their lives. How? By listening to each customer with respect and tailoring a cash solution that met their individual needs. Let Novation help you too. Call now and get your free DVD rushed to you today. Our specialists are standing by awaiting your call. Call 800-541-0769. That's 800-541-0769. Again, call 800-541-0769. Simply call Novation toll-free at 800-541-0769 and get your money when you need it.
At Sports Authority, find the best holiday gifts for everyone on your shopping list. We have thousands of items on sale now, including 25% off Under Armour big logo hoodies this week only. And when you enter our $500,000 gift of sport holiday sweepstakes, you'll have a chance to win hundreds of prizes. Visit sportsauthority.com to enter and see official rules. Shop in-store and online for great deals on the brands you love and see why there's nothing like the gift of sport. Sports Authority, all things sporting good.
All right, little ace of spades for you. Welcome back to the show, World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline, USA Radio Network. I'm Nick Geber, and it's a pleasure to be with you every weeknight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That's a great song, isn't it? Love that. All right, 800-878-PLAY, 800-878-PLAY. If you'd like to give me a call in studio, I'll be joined here momentarily by Danny Page, my co-host, and then coming up in a little bit, we'll be joined by Morgan Green from World Soccer Talk. You know, before we get to the topics that I laid out in the first segment, of which, of course, Jurgen Klinsmann's extension is a very big topic. Maybe there's some sort of Freudian pun there. I don't know, his extension. And will you excuse me for that one? I want to talk about something that I put out there yesterday, and I've taken quite a bit of heat on it on Twitter, and that I said yesterday that Celtic Football Club were a disgrace. Now, I was specifically referring to their performance in the Champions League, obviously, because in the Scottish Premier League, they are the 500-pound gorilla. They are the only big fish in a pond full of minnows. Now, largely this isn't their own doing, with the exception of the situation with Rangers. And if you've listened to this show over the last year or so, you will know my position on that. And just full disclosure here, I'm not a Rangers supporter, and I'm not a Celtic supporter. I'm a Liverpool Football Club supporter. And we've had our own share of problems, and there are times when I think Liverpool Football Club themselves have been a disgrace. Not now, but in the not too recent past, I think some of the things they've done have been absolutely shameful. Hello, Hicks and Gillette. But that doesn't change the fact that Celtic Football Club are now the only big team in Scotland. Every year they make the Champions League. Every year they come through qualifying. Every year they get their share of Champions League money. So for fans of Celtic to call me out because I said the club is a disgrace, because out of 6 matches, they won 1 match, scored, 3 goals? And had 14 scored against them. They went out dead bottom of the group. This is the same team last season that progressed through to the knockout stages and put a bit of a scare into great teams like Barcelona. So yes, what they did this year was an absolute disgrace. The fact that I don't agree with what happened to Rangers in the Scottish Premier League, the fact that I feel a gross injustice was done against one of the world's great football clubs, and yes, Rangers didn't help themselves, I accept that. But the gloating and the hand-wringing and the schadenfreude, almost like I feel, by the way, with Man United sitting 9th in the table, but the difference is I don't need Man United to feed my league. If you follow where I'm going here, folks. The situation is simple. Celtic are going to do nothing but go downhill as long as there is absolutely no competition for them in the Scottish Premier League.
Danny's there.
So the addition of going to the Champions League, playing good solid European clubs and doing absolutely nothing tells you, as The Guardian pointed out, that Celtic are regressing, not progressing. That, to me, is disgraceful. They're the biggest team in Scotland. They suck up the vast bulk of the revenue. They suck up all the Champions League money. And with that performance, my friends, that was a disgrace. I have no ulterior motive here. I'm not a Rangers supporter. I'm not going to run around and enjoy every moment that Celtic struggles in the Champions League. I'm just calling it like I see it, folks. An absolute disgrace. Disagree with me? Agree with me? Love to hear from you. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/World Soccer Radio. And, of course, you can also find us on Twitter at World Soccer Radio. Okay, well, I tell you what, luckily, you don't have to listen to me drone on too much more here. I'm going to do some pretty cool stuff here. If you're watching on our Ustream feed, by the way, we do some pretty cool stuff. You can find it at watchwsr.com. All right, why don't I take this opportunity to bring in Danny Page, my co-host. Danny, what's your feeling about this Celtic issue?
Well, sorry for running in a little tardy here, man. I survived the holiday traffic. That's the good news. It was pretty rough out there today on the roads, Nick. Do you actually drive on the right side of the road now, or are you still driving to Marathon?
No, actually, I have to tell you, I had to run up to West LA today and do some stuff, and it took me an hour and a half to get home. So, no, it was terrible. But let's get to Celtic Football Club in a minute, Danny, because I don't know if you've been following our Twitter stuff, but, I mean, I've been getting lambasted about this. And, and I just call it like I see it. Danny, it was disgraceful.
Yeah, I think it was. And listen, I'm not a Rangers or Celtic supporter either way, but what I do like is for a Scottish club to be successful, at least in the group stage, and at least qualify for the round of 16. There's something very enchanting about the European nights at Anfield, and there's something incredibly enchanting about those same nights at Parkhead and at Ibrox. So for that reason, not a Rangers supporter, not a Celtic supporter, I'm not drawn either way, but I like for those teams to succeed and to perform well in Europe, and they were just poor. And I know, Nick, that this goes back for you to a big stance you had, about a year and a half ago, when the show, first got up and running here on World Soccer Radio on Sports Byline, and that was that Celtic supporters were thrilled that Rangers went down, and you didn't like it one bit because you thought it would actually hurt Celtic. And
it certainly has, right?
That thought is really proving true today.
Well,
it really has. It really has. And you look at Scottish football in general, I'd love to see success from the Scottish national team. Just kind of playing on what we closed with last night, Nick, for a moment. I mean, they have this article about Ryan Gold, the Scottish Lionel Messi. The Scottish Lionel Messi.
Right.
Are you serious?
No, I had a...
the idea of a Scottish player like that is inconceivable these days. And the more play that more teams get, the better. And if there's no Rangers in the top flight, it's a one-team league. There's no reason to even play in some ways.
Well, it's interesting because other than called various four-letter equivalents for ladies' genitalia, which happened to me today numerous times on Twitter, and they may be right. Maybe I am
really.
That,
I'm going to have to start paying better attention.
But the fact of the matter is, you cannot say that the reason Celtic are not progressing is because there is no competition for them, when in point of fact, the competition was right there. There was a balance in the Scottish Premier League when you had Rangers on the one side and Celtic on the other, and one era, 2 or 3 year period, Celtic would do well, and then Rangers would do well, and it kept them honest because the other teams around them are just too small market teams. There's not enough money there for them. There's not enough money in the TV rights, but everyone wants to see those old firm derbies, Danny. That's the money. So when Celtic supporters and the Celtic board and all the other Scottish Premier League, I would say prematurely threw Rangers out of the Football League because of some supposed tax issues, which in fact were nothing on appeal. They were thrown out. That would never happen in America, because in America you have to have due process. In Scotland, there is no due process in this situation. They were punished before they were ever found guilty, and as it turns out, they were not guilty of what they were punished for. They may have been guilty of some other indiscretions, certainly. But the bottom line is they just cut off their nose to spite their face. And they won't admit it. They won't stand up and admit it. Instead, you've got these middling and awful performances in the Champions League, coming off what was a great performance last year, with really one of last year's sort of almost defining moments, the win against Barcelona.
Yeah, I think one thing, though, Nick, is that no matter whether or not Rangers were in their Champions League, were in the Scottish Premier League this year, it doesn't matter. They weren't coming out of that group. For Celtic to advance, they need a favorable group. And when taking on AC Milan, Ajax, and Barcelona, they're just not going to advance. So I do understand.
One win, Danny. Danny, one win.
It mattered this year because they weren't going to advance anyway.
1 win, 3 goals. It's not the fact they didn't get out. It's the way they didn't get out. That's the problem. They were absolutely pathetic. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you know what?
Yeah, they're poor.
They're
not very good, and they're plaking on Milan and Ajax and Barca.
And they're not getting any better either. It's going to be more problems ahead. All right, when we come back, let's get to it, shall we? Jurgen Klinsmann gets an extension. He doesn't even need a doctor's prescription. All right, Nick Eber, Danny Page. We're going to be joined by Morgan Green. Excuse me, I'm choking again. I was going to say we're going to be joined by Morgan Freeman, but I don't think he's joining us, Danny. I think it's Morgan Green from World Soccer Talk.
No,
all right, 800-878-PLAY.
With us tonight.
Find us on Twitter at World Soccer Radio. We're going to step aside, take a break. By the way, I hope you're enjoying watching the stream at Watch WSR. And, of course, once again, on the affiliate station of the Sports Byline Network or American Forces or TuneIn, iHeart. We're everywhere. All right, we'll be right back after these messages.
When you struggle with credit card
Is Morgan calling in here?
you're
No,
not
hold
just
on.
in debt. Debt is all
Hold on,
around
everybody.
you.
I see people every day that are on the brink. They're going to go over the edge, and at the bottom is bankruptcy, and we pull them back.
At the Debt Helpline, we're experts at helping you resolve your debt problems and become free of debt. We can help you pay off your debt and give you one lower monthly
Hold on,
payment
Danny.
that you can afford.
You do get
Trying
to
to see if we
consolidate
get Morgan
your
on
payments.
the
You
on the-
only have
on
to
the
worry
Google
about
thing
making
here.
one payment a month instead of making 3 or 4
Why not
or
try it,
5.
right?
If you have $5,000, $10,000 or more in credit card bills, call the Debt Helpline now for a free confidential debt analysis.
800-957-6063.
All right, we got Morgan.
800-957-6063.
All right, we got Morgan. Are you there,
Call
Morgan?
the CESI Debt Helpline
Yes, I'm
right
here.
now for a free confidential
Yeah.
debt review.
Is he on video, too? Oh, look at this, Morgan. What up?
800-957-6063.
All right, Morgan, if it's
Unit
bad
Election
quality,
has
I'm going to
used
drop you, and then you'll have to
prices
just
that
call
a
in. But I
Greek
think we're going to
jersey?
keep it.
risen an average 20% a year for
Cool,
11
thank you.
years.
Yeah, it is. It's a
not
Greek
stocks,
national team
not
jersey.
bonds. It's silver.
He sounds fine.
Are you
He sounds good. Okay.
Apparently.
All right, guys.
Family.
Actually,
Yo, everybody, quiet. One second. Stop talking, everybody. Nick.
Yes.
You need to turn your mic down just a little bit.
More to invest in gold or
Gotcha.
silver.
Maybe,
And get up
okay,
to
now
10
Or
just
just
count to
stop
10.
talking.
silver dollars.
Danny, okay, now Danny, you talk.
That's right. Up to 10 100-year-old
Danny?
gold and silver dollars.
1,
When you
2,
invest
3,
That's good.
4,
Morgan, talk to me.
5,
$600 value free.
1,
This offer
2,
is
3,
available
4,
for
5, 6,
IRA
7, 8,
accounts
9,
as well.
10. All right, put Danny down just a hair.
I can't put Danny down or Morgan up. They're together. They're coming in the same feed.
All right, then Danny, back away from the mic about 2 inches, all right?
631-9229. Call
Yeah,
Lear
I
Capital
have a
now.
headset on.
800-631.
And then don't sweat. Try not to.
No, we're
Try
fine.
not to. All right, cool. Yeah.
Is one of the most powerful.
Because I don't want poor Morgan to get drowned out by you two mouths.
Contact your employer, embarrass you, and take
I had to say
away
it.
part of your paycheck.
Hey, I'm gone for 9 days after
talking,
today.
Ken.
Try not to
Turned
cry too much, right?
upside down.
I'm going to a
If you
place,
owe
how bright
back
I am.
taxes or
I'm
have
going to
on-file
Craftsbury,
tax
Vermont,
returns,
about 12 miles from the
Tax
Canadian
Center
border.
has
It's
a
going to be
special
5
free
degrees there for a
consultation
high.
just for
I said,
you.
dear God, let it be
Proven
Celsius.
experience.
Nice.
Boy, that sounds like fun.
IRS agents. No
Going to be hanging out with Bill
international
Spaceman Lee. I hope he's got a lot of booze, man.
are licensed to represent you before the IRS. We'll contact
he
the
does.
IRS immediately for you. Stop.
You know Bill's is my kid.
Morgan. Instant help to relieve you from this burden. Our customer service record is unmatched, and you'll appreciate our low fees. We guarantee.
And Morgan, I'll pass on your regards to
Okay,
him.
guys, quiet,
We can
please.
help, and you'll discover
All
your
right, do that.
options on the first free call. Call 800-365-9864.
Stand by.
800-365-9864. Don't wait. Call 800-365-9864. 800-365-9864.
All right, welcome back to the show. World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Nick Geber and Danny Page with you, and we're joined by our very special guest, Mr. Morgan Green. And if you're watching us on Ustream, we're trying something that we've never done before, which is to have Danny and Morgan both in their own sort of little strange window, whatever. Anyway, gentlemen, welcome.
Glad to be here.
What's up, big guy? Morgan, it's great to have you on the show, bro.
Yeah, great to finally be on, Danny.
All right, so Morgan, let's get to it, shall we? Because today it was announced that Jurgen Klinsmann got an extension to his contract. Now, to me, this is a pretty interesting development because essentially what's happened here is, the U.S. has been drawn in what I think everybody would agree is essentially a group of death. Yet, and stand a good chance of going 3 and out. Yet all of a sudden, he's going to get a contract extension. Seems strange to me. What are you hearing about this?
Yeah, to me it sounds really kind of strange. I think their intention overall was to give him an extension after the World Cup. But again, being thrown in this group of death, if they were to give him an extension after they went 3 and out, they really wouldn't have any grounds to do it. They couldn't justify it because they're predicting that he would ultimately fail. And, it just would not look good. You can't give a guy an extension after going 3 and out. And again, we don't know how bad it's going to be. We don't know that they're going to go 3 and out. But I think that this is a more opportune time. You have a lot of, a lot of confidence around this squad that they could probably have an upset. So, but I think really it's the United States Soccer Federation kind of just playing it on the safe side and saying, you know what, we're good, we're confident, we'll go ahead and give it to him now. There's not going to be really any outrage if things do all go bad after the World Cup with giving him an extension.
Is this
I agree. I like the extension. I agree, Nick. I like the extension here, but I do want to take a brief step back and just say I think that the United States really misstepped in giving Bob Bradley an extension after he really botched that Ghana game. And that's the only thing that concerns me here is, after we gave a premature extension, boy, Nick, I know you could go a lot of places with that.
Yeah.
A premature extension following the 2010 World Cup. Did we jump the gun here, extending someone's contract before he's coached in a major tournament before?
Well,
and I'm sorry, but the Gold Cup, sans a trip to to the pre-World Cup tournament, that doesn't count. I feel like we maybe jumped the gun just a little bit. I just want to see how we actually go out and play in Brazil before giving someone a deal to take us into 2018.
Well, guys, there's 2 ways to look at this. I mean, number one, is this U.S. soccer coming out early with a vote of confidence for Jurgen Klinsmann? Are they saying, look, we understand that the draw of Ghana, Portugal, and Germany is an extremely difficult draw, so we don't want you to go there with the pressure of your job on your shoulders. We want you to understand that no matter what happens there, we're happy with what you've done. Is that number one? Or is it that they think there are other nations waiting in the wings, or some clubs maybe waiting in the wings for, as soon as the World Cup's over, they're going to snap Jurgen Klinsmann up? Because let's face it, guys, this has completely taken the pressure, in my opinion, off the United States to have this group. Because all of a sudden people are looking at them saying, you know what, we really think they're not getting out of the group. So anything they do that's close to that is going to seem like a success, right, guys? Morgan?
Yeah, I thought Morgan would jump in on this one. I'm happy to. I think that in some ways it does take a lot of pressure off. But let's be honest, Morgan, United States supporters are not going to put up with the wooden spoon in this group. And I know there's more travel than anyone, but it is a real potential possibility that the U.S., if they were to lose to Ghana, which has already happened twice, if we lost our opening game, dropped the match to Portugal, and then were swept by Germany and left with 0 points, I'm looking at Jurgen Klinsmann and saying, I don't want that to be my manager. So sure, you go into the group of death and you're concerned, obviously, with the Czech and Italy and Ghana back in 2006. We were concerned with a difficult group, but at least going into the second half of our final match, we knew that another goal or two would send us through to the round of 16. If we finish last on 0 points, I'm going to be pretty upset and thinking maybe we shouldn't have given this extension all the way back in 2013.
Yeah, you're right, Danny. And I really think that, as far as Jurgen Klinsmann goes, we haven't really seen, the Jurgen Klinsmann in a tight spot. As you've said, the Gold Cup isn't really a premier competition with the highest of talents that we see in Europe and South America. In my opinion, Jurgen Klinsmann thrives on having a team that is the most talented out of all the teams around him. And it really, there's not a lot of thinking involved. I mean, Jurgen Klinsmann's not a tactical genius. His whole philosophy is, okay, we're going to play an attacking style. I have the talent to do it, and you can get away with it. I just think that, really you're right. I mean, if they come out of this without 0 points and really Jurgen Klinsmann is exposed as not having a backup tactic, as not being able to possibly sit back and defend and, eke out a draw when they really need it, I think that this is going to be a huge mistake. I thought it was a mistake to appoint him to begin with, so I might not be, the most unbiased in this situation, but I think this does have the possibility to be a really huge mistake that the United States Soccer Federation is making.
Nick, what do you think?
Well,
you're kind of quietly biding your time and letting the two Yanks talk it out.
Yeah, no, I'm listening to the discussion, and it's funny because we're talking in a circle, but we're coming back to the same spot, and that same spot is prior to the draw within the United States soccer shall we say, there was a lot of expectation that the U.S. would perform well. We have a lot of really good players. We got some players making big impacts in Europe, et cetera, et cetera. So there was some pressure on the U.S. national team, especially qualifying as we did out of CONCACAF, qualifying so strongly. There was a little bit of pressure to actually do something. Maybe around a 16, maybe a quarterfinal. People are talking about that. All of a sudden, the group draw comes out, and it is. I mean, look, there's nothing that the U.S. could have done about this. This is random, unless you want to believe the grassy knoll theory of FIFA detractors. And I'm a detractor, but I'm not a fifth gunman guy. The fact is, it's Ghana, Portugal, and Germany. This is an extremely difficult group. I do not think the U.S. will get out of it, only because only two teams are going to progress. I mean, mathematically, that's the way it is. So all of a sudden, the pressure has been lifted off their shoulders. I think they could well surprise now, because everybody's expecting them to get eliminated. But I think U.S. Soccer are just kind of hedging their bets, guys. They're saying, you know what, Jurgen, we get the group of death. We won't hold you responsible now if the U.S. goes out. I don't like it, and I'll tell you why. Because it's not, just like we were talking about Celtic earlier on, Danny. They went out, and they were in a terrible group. We'll all agree on that. It's the way they went out that was disgraceful. So if the U.S. goes out,
that's what concerns me.
Puts up a fight. They come close in some matches. They play really well. I'll be proud of them. And if they go out in this awful group, so be it. But if they go out and they get blown out, and if they, you lose every game and only score one goal, that's going back to a World Cup not too far from memory. Then I don't want Jurgen Klinsmann at the helm, and I don't want him having a long-term contract.
98, the glorious wooden spoon.
That's right. Yeah.
We have to see progress, and we can't. I think it was a little bit dangerous to do this. I feel like, Morgan, I don't know about you, but I feel like Klinsmann was already committed to this U.S. team. He believes in the U.S. project, and that even if we didn't tie him up to a deal until after the Mundial, I really don't think it mattered. I think he would have come back and stayed with the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Danny, but I really don't believe that there are that many jobs out there that that would really warrant bringing Jurgen Klinsmann in. I mean, I know there have been rumblings about the Tottenham Hotspur job, but I mean, that's a so far step back from where they're at now with AVB and where they were with Harry Redknapp. I mean, you would really be going, 3, 4, 5 steps backwards if you hired Jurgen Klinsmann for that. I mean, there's no other real top coaching job out there that I think would warrant him to run around and say, okay, well, I'm ditching the U.S. now and going somewhere else. I mean, this is the perfect situation for him. He lives in California. There's really, they didn't have to do it. I mean, even if they went 3 and out and they went ahead and said, well, look, we're probably not going to get any better. We're not going to get a better coach than him. He doesn't really have another job, so why not do it now?
I don't like it, guys. I don't like it because for me, it says that we as the U.S. national team, we as U.S. Soccer, we are prepared to accept a disgrace, and that's the fact of the matter is we're not.
Right.
And fans
We're
of the
ready
games
for
are not.
whatever.
Yeah. That's what it says to me.
Last girl at the bar.
Yeah, that's hey, nice. I like it. And when you talk about big jobs out there, hey, what about the England job?
I put my name in for that, guys. He can't have that one. I'm going to take that one.
I had to. I love a shaming England anytime possible, really.
Hey,
It's
you know,
just
but
way too much fun.
But actually, in many respects, there's some similarities here. The difference, of course, is that U.S. Soccer have come out now with this move and said, you know what, we have no expectations coming into the World Cup. Which, in fact, it would be nice if the FA were to say that for England. But, you know, they can't say that because they'll be lambasted and egged. They'll be tarred and feathered and run out of town. So it's very different, obviously very different expectations. But, you know, as the American soccer public continue to grow in power, in strength, in numbers, and everything else, those expectations are going to change. And I think maybe, just maybe, guys, this shows that maybe U.S. soccer isn't quite keeping up with the expectations of the fan base. All right, this is World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA. We are talking about Jurgen Klinsmann's extension, not his hair extensions, not that little pill he has to take. We're talking about his contract extension that he's just been given prior to the group of death at the World Cup. I don't know about that. I know Morgan Green from World Soccer Talk. We're talking to him. He's not sure about it either, as well as Danny Page. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back to continue the discussion. By the way, love to hear from you. Find us on Twitter at World Soccer Radio. And that's Twitter at World Soccer Radio. And we're going to step aside, pay some bills, and be right back after this.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up
Nice.
and up and up. Do something about it.
Hey,
Sorry about that, Nick. I had something was going on out here in the middle of the interview.
No problem. I didn't realize that the Google Plus actually switches the video for you depending on who's talking, so that's pretty cool.
Get more of your favorite channels
Yeah.
and 100%
Yeah, it does.
quality.
Hey, guys, Jerry, how's that sounding?
Aside from the very end where you kind of jumped in and almost blew out the meters, yeah, everyone else is fine.
Well, that's your job, Jerry, to get on there and ride me down.
Upgrade, a free DVR upgrade and
Yeah.
installation. You control what you watch when you watch it.
I'm flying on Friday the 13th. I have bigger concerns.
All right, enough of that.
Commercials. Watch local channels.
No, I'm
I
sad.
think one thing that would help,
Listen.
Nick, is to open a group.
Major credit or debit card.
Call 877-499
Group what?
MyTV. That's 877-499 MyTV.
Group G chat
Cancel the cable.
I don't know how to do that. You'll have to show me next
to
time.
use as a queue of sorts.
Oh, okay.
Well, by the way, Nick,
Yes.
that was your opportunity to use that 150 to 1 thing.
Oh, you know what? It's fine. It's I'm trying to juggle switching and 3 people here, and it's, you know.
Do you know if you had Auburn going to the national title game at the beginning with the futures bet at 1,000 to 1?
Really? Wow.
Yep, and they
1,000
said
to 1.
at the
Really?
LVH
Wow.
at the LVH they know of 13 people who made the bet. They didn't say for how much though.
Well, if someone put $1,000 on that, that's
I
what,
bet
$1
you
million,
Charles
right?
Barkley was one of
Morgan, will you
Million.
DM me your email address?
Yeah, sure.
800-480-5708.
Google.
We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters
By the way,
worse. Act
Robert
now before
Thayer
it's too late.
just
Call
wrote to us
Baldwin
on
Associates right
a
now
funny
to
comment
speak
here
to
on
a
Ustream. We'll bring that
professional
up.
tax relief agent. Call 800-480-5708.
You guys seeing that?
That's 800-480-5708.
I haven't seen it.
Again, 800-480-5708.
1 minute.
We've always strived to make the best choices. And Rite Aid is here to help you keep making the best
All right.
choices.
That's
by
off
giving
to you,
the
Danny.
information you need to choose the right Medicare
Thanks, dude.
Part D
Yep.
prescription plan coverage. During a free review of your Medicare Part D options with your pharmacist,
All
get
right.
information about available plans
Oh,
so
man.
you can pick the plan with the best value based on your Rite Aid prescriptions and avoid the possibility of overpaying, as plans and options can change year to year.
Oh, I think I saw, yeah,
Another
Robert
Rite Aid
Hay.
benefit?
Yeah.
Wellness
Talking about the
65
USMNT
plus.
being the last girl at the bar.
Members get 20% off the first Wednesday of every month on almost
Can I
everything.
answer
just
this
seen it on
first?
Twitter.
Yep.
Enroll free
Yeah.
in Wellness
Can I
65
answer his
Plus
Twitter
at Rite Aid
question?
today
Yep.
for a free review of your Medicare Part D prescription plan options. Certain limitations apply. Prescriptions and certain non-prescription items are not eligible for the 20% discount. See your local Rite Aid store or riteaid.com for details.
All right, welcome back to the show, World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Nick Gieber, Danny Page. We're talking to Morgan Green. He's joining us on the
Hello.
Google Hangout. We've got everybody here, man. Morgan from World Soccer Talk. So before we went to break, the discussion was about Jurgen Klinsmann's contract extension, which is a surprise, I think, to just about everyone. Seemed to come out of the blue. But Danny, we're getting a little feedback. What are you hearing?
Yeah, one comment coming in off of Ustream, Nick, is from Robert Hay Jr., who we saw on Twitter, and he says, if the U.S. MNT are the last girl at the bar, what does that make the Mexico national team?
The janitor.
Wow, what a question.
No. What that means is after
What did you say, Morgan?
The janitor. They're still mopping up after everybody's gone.
Yeah, no, actually what they are is that
Right.
everyone's left the bar. There's someone already left with the last girl, and as you're leaving, you trip over someone that's passed out swimming in a pool of their own wretch. That's what they are.
Oh.
All right.
I was taking them more as I was taking them a bit more as the last girl leaves the bar. You're left there and like, you know what? I'm going to take a shot of tequila. And then it sends you on a wild ride, because that's what I see. I really don't think this Mexico team are going to be that poor in the tournament.
No, I don't
think
either. That's
obviously
the funny
deciding
thing.
game for them will be against Croatia.
Yeah, Danny,
Right?
Morgan.
I mean, they can go on a nice little move here.
Yeah, let's put out the group for our listeners in case you don't know who's in the Mexican group, but it's not nearly as bad as the U.S. group. They have
No, not at all. It's Croatia, Brazil, and help me out, Morgan. Who's number 4?
Oh no. I do not. I can't remember, honestly.
Well, I tell you what. Let me put it this way.
Quick, recite all 8 World Cup groups.
I
Read
think
the alphabet backwards.
Well, look, the fact is that the Mexican team stand a better chance of advancing, I think, if you look, than the U.S. team does. I think they will do very well. I want both the U.S. and the Mexican team to advance, just to put it out there. But if you look at it, I don't know. I think they're going to eke into the cup, and they could well squeak through. Who knows? It's all going to depend not so much on the Brazil game, but the match against the other team that's not Croatia, that we don't know who it is. But that one, you know what I mean? That
Cameroon.
Cameroon. Thank you. Yeah, they could
Mexico,
get results.
Cameroon on.
Go ahead.
Mexico, Cameroon on June 13th. Pardon me, and then they go ahead and they play Brazil on the 17th. And then they take on Croatia, which will likely decide who advances to play either Spain or the Netherlands. So they'll go out in the round of 16, but that might be a lot farther than we go.
Very possible. All right, guys, let's get to the next topic, shall we? Before we get on to finishing 5th in the Premier League, Morgan, you mentioned this article, and I just read it. Queen's Park Rangers apparently are looking at leaving the beloved Loftus Road. I tell you, I've been going to Loftus Road since I was literally 40 years. My sister was a massive Queen's Park Rangers fan growing up, and she would drag me to their matches. I've been to Loftus Road as recently as a couple of years ago. And as I get older and fatter, I realize just either the seats have got progressively smaller and smaller, or they are just very small and narrow seats, and that's the only way they can get in as many as they do, because that has to be.
You've gotten bigger.
I have gotten bigger, but I think the seats are the same size.
It's that you've gotten bigger, Nick. The
True.
seats aren't getting any smaller, man.
No, I know, but it's amazing. It's a very uncomfortable little stadium, Loftus Road. It's a wonderful stadium. Lots of ghosts in Loftus Road, shall we say? Lots of character, but it's not a modern stadium by any stretch of the imagination. And if teams want to compete in the Premier League, of course, QPR have to get back there right now. They need state-of-the-art facilities. They need to be able to charge a premium for seats. They need luxury boxes. They need all the sorts of things that these very old stadiums don't have.
They do, and just looking at their attendance numbers over the past couple of years, they've been averaging, at least when they were in the Premier League, they were averaging just under the max of 18,000. I believe they were 17.7 their last season in the Premier League, and 17, I think 5.
Hold on.
League. So
hold on a second, Morgan. No, that's the same attendance numbers as Chivas USA, isn't it? They average about 17.5 people a game.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you mean thousands? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but no, that figure is less than a lot of Major League Soccer teams, frankly.
It is. No, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Tony, he's using the argument of it's so small that we can't get all our fans in here. My argument is that do you really have enough fans to fill a 40,000 seat stadium, because that's ultimately what they're looking to get. In the article, it's a part of a greater rejuvenation project for that section of London, for the Old Oak section of London. And I just think, when you're really looking at more than doubling what your stadium capacity is going to be, you have to be dead on 100% sure that you're going to be able to fill that stadium to capacity. And I don't know that QPR is going to be able to do that. It's the same thing with West Ham getting the Olympic Stadium. You don't know that West Ham's going to be able to sell out that stadium week after week after week. I'm not saying that they don't have a good fan base, but do they have a fan base that, one, can afford the tickets for the Premier League? They are very pricey tickets, as we all know. Yeah. And two, I mean, are there enough of them? Are there enough West Ham fans out there to justify moving to the Olympic Stadium that can go consistently week after week?
You've got to blow a lot of bubbles to fill that place up.
Can do that?
You've got to blow an awful lot of bubbles
and
to
you
fill
look
up the
at
atmosphere.
QPR, and you look at QPR, a team that right now is in the championship and very well could be in that yo-yo category over the next couple of years. I mean, if you got a 40,000 seat stadium in the championship, I mean, those are some pretty high maintenance bills that you got to fill. And that's pretty embarrassing on the TV when you're looking around at a half-empty stadium. I mean, you're looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars at that point as far as the attendance goes.
Or New England Revolution.
Aren't any of you guys scared? In regards to your second beloved QPR, Nick, aren't either of you scared that we're going to wake up one morning and watch Tony Fernandez on Sky Sports News being taken out in handcuffs? I mean, don't you get that kind of Portsmouth Rangers feel with what they're doing? Yeah. They're facing relegation. Let's go out and spend a ton of money. And then they say, well, then the club could fail in the summer, and for some reason it hasn't. And now, we want to build a new ground, even though we're third in the championship right now. I just feel like we're going to see – it's kind of like the Cleveland Indians owner in Major League or something. I'm a little worried about what this guy is doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, it is a little questionable.
I think he's had some business issues too.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as his actual airline, Air Asia business.
He certainly has. We'll wait and see. Let's move on to the next topic, because we don't have too much time. And Danny brought up a great topic, and we spoke about this a bit yesterday.
I always do.
Not so true, Danny, but this one was a good one. We talk about musical chairs, the game we've all played, where there are 4 chairs in the room, and then there's 6 people dancing around, and then the music stops, and everyone has to jump on a chair, and then there's someone left out, and they get booted. That's what we have right now in the Premier League. Are we sure that 5th place is a chair, or is it just a little freaky, weird bar stool? Because I really don't think you want to finish 5th unless you're Tottenham, unless you're Liverpool, unless you're a team that has depth, that has a European pedigree, that has the ability to maintain that type of schedule. Look at what's happened to Swansea. Look at what's happened to Wigan. I mean, look at what happened to Newcastle. The Europa League can be a kiss of death, both internationally and domestically.
Yeah, and I mean, even the television money is still nice to get a little bit more revenue in there, but it's not to the level of the Champions League. It's not even close to the level of the Champions League.
The point is, guys, there's not enough money in the Europa League to afford to pay for the infrastructure costs you need to effectively play it.
Exactly, and I think you're right. I mean, nobody wants to come in 5th. Everybody wants to come in 4th. That's why it's that much higher up.
Well, I get that.
Well, when you're playing in the MPL in the Montenegro Premier League, the Europa League is a fine competition for the likes of Chono Moretz and Ludogorets, which, by the way, thanks to David Mossy for helping me pronounce every team.
Isn't that what you take to stop smoking?
Fun Thursday competition.
That was a Nicorette. Anyway, same thing. But look.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
No, I mean,
but it's true. It's made for those teams.
No, right, absolutely. I mean, and look, it's a great competition. I love the Europa League. We've talked about this. I love the UEFA Cup. Yesterday, Danny, I said we should take the Champions League back to the old way. It should be just the league champions. Drop everyone else into the Europa League. Make that one fun. But the fact is, the teams that seem to do the best in the Europa League, obviously, are the ones that drop out of the Champions League. Why? Well, because those are the strongest teams. It's just the nature of the beast. So if you want to make the Europa League more interesting, why do you give these teams the ability to drop down from the Champions League into the Europa League? I mean, surely if you fail at the grand prize, should you have a shot at the runners-up prize?
You shouldn't, but you know what? That's also a draw for the Europa League. I mean, how many more games were watched, or at least how many more fans did they draw last year or the year before when Chelsea dropped down and ended up winning the entire competition?
It's all about the dosh.
That's
all about the dosh,
That's
right?
the only reason. Yeah, it's all about the cash.
Yeah, all about
and that's a part. And again, that's a part of bringing the teams in. And if you drop them down, I mean, I can see what they're trying to do. If you drop them down into there, then you're getting a little bit more interest in it, because you could get a giant in there like a Chelsea, like a Juventus. Teams like that. I mean, Bayern Munich were in the competition not too long ago. So, that's really the only hope that they have for it, but it's not consistent enough.
But
I think you're right.
What
I think
would
if
you
take
say?
away maybe 1 or 2 slots from these top leagues and put them in the Europa League, maybe make it 3 teams, the top 3 in England go to the Champions League.
Okay, guys. So I ask you this question.
Probably get a little bit more because you're getting a higher profile team.
Right, Morgan and Danny, I ask you this question then. What exactly did Swansea get out of the Europa League? What exactly did Wigan Athletic get out of the Europa League? Because the only English team right now that I think stands a hope is Tottenham. They may actually do very well, but we'll have to see what happens when the dropouts from the Champions League come down. Hey, like Celtic. Oh, no, they won't even go to the Europa League. Whoops. But
Right.
But what exactly did Swansea and Wigan get out of it? I mean, Wigan got their manager fired, right?
Yeah, for Tottenham, they're a Champions League team playing in the Europa League.
True,
is how you
yeah.
can characterize that and their success. They have the depth now, though. That depth of players, they've not exactly been gelling together well, but they surely have the depth. And as far as Swansea goes, they get a great thrill in September when they're in the draw, when they see they're going to a place like Valencia, when they win in Valencia, and then late October and November hit and they realize, man, we're tired. We were in the League Cup. Now we're trying to chase this. In the League Cup as holders. Now we're trying to chase the Europa League. And they just haven't had the legs. And obviously, we've seen them really struggle in the Europa League the last month.
And the Premier League.
They're doing so in the league as well.
And what happens is the more they drop down the Premier League ladder, the less money they get out of it. In case you don't know, it's divided up into pools. You get a pool of prize money depending on where you finish in the league. This is a death knell for certain teams, and certain teams should just avoid it like the plague. I loved what Brendan Rodgers said. He said, if we get into the Europa League on fair play, we're going to say no thanks. And I think that's exactly why. I mean, you just wanted to focus in on the league. All right, guys. Morgan, thanks so much. It's always a pleasure talking to you. By the way, you can find Morgan at Morgan_Green on Twitter. Find him at World Soccer Talk. Morgan, we'd love to have you on again next week.
Happy to be on. I'll be there.
All right, Morgan Green.
buddy.
All right,
Yeah.
and we're going to go to break here in literally 1 minute. When we come back, we'll wrap it all up and once again continue or finish off the discussions that we've been having. Nick Eber and Danny Page with you, World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA. Find us on Twitter. By the way, Danny's Twitter is dpage805. Mine is at Nick Eber, but the best way is just at World Soccer Radio. That's really the best. What's that year? What are you, my hype man all of a sudden? All right.
Yeah. Well, Gin and Juice was on, Snoop Dogg. I'm pumped up.
All right. Okay, guys, we're going to take a break. I'll be right back on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network, 800-878-PLAY. If you've got a thought or a comment, 800-878-PLAY, or once again, Twitter at World Soccer Radio. Just a reminder, we're on each and every weeknight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the Sports Byline Network, so you make sure you make us a regular part of your week. All right, we'll be right back after this.
Are you one of the 37 million
Jen, it was good hanging out with you.
debt? If so, pay
Thanks,
attention
Morgan.
to this
Good night.
important
See you guys
announcement.
later.
Ford Student
Yep,
Advantage
bye.
has free information on how you
Hey,
will
Nick.
be able
Yeah.
to reduce your monthly
I got an
payment
advanced
for
copy of
your
Jennifer
or
Saunders'
financial
autobiography.
needs
It's
or
hilarious.
completely
Oh,
forgiven.
that's
You
great.
heard correctly.
It's called
You could
Bonkers.
potentially
Her and Don
have your
French
federal
wrote it. It
Yeah.
is funny as hell.
That's great.
But you need to call now.
All right,
for
how did
free
all that sound
information to
between
see
Morgan
if
and
you
Danny? It's the
qualify
first time we
for
tried that.
Student Advantage.
Not too bad. Not too bad. It sounded like, I mean, this is not a technical thing, but both of them sounded a little afraid to step on the other.
Right, yeah, well, that's because the
Comes
lack,
with time.
lack
That
of
comes with
it.
time.
It was also
Yeah.
just the
Your payment
timing
term,
of
or
what.
have your loan forgiven. There is no cost or
Danny,
obligation
you just,
for this
went
money-saving
mute.
information. Call now.
Yeah.
800
Okay, you're back.
No, it's not. I understand what it is, Dan. It comes with time. That's all.
Don't miss out. Call now. 800
It's the visual cue thing. It's,
800-211-0448 or visit online at getforgiven.org.
Yeah, that's why I want to open the chat
I will
and
never
just
forget
communicate
the
that
day
way.
my son
Okay.
Jeremy told me
We'll have
he
to work that
hated
out.
me.
because
and
that's
slammed the
beyond
door
my
in
pay grade.
face. I'm behavioral therapist Janet Lehman. Behavior problems.
Boy, if
can
Janet
turn
Lehman were
childhood
your mother,
love
wouldn't you
and
run?
your
I'd
life
like to move out of
into
the
a nightmare.
continent. I'd
That's
move somewhere
why my
else.
husband James and I created the Total Transformation, the
I
step-by-step
don't know who that is.
program that shows you
This
how to
awful
fix
woman
the
here.
worst behavior problems and get
She's
your
gonna
child
fix
to
the worst
respect and
behavior
listen
problems
to
in
you
your
again.
child.
No matter what the behavior, defiance, backtalk, angry outbursts, disrespect, we can help you stop it. Now you can get the Total Transformation for free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you.
Danny,
You
it's
can
funny.
keep it
Your
forever
mother
for
actually
free.
asked me, called me, and asked me. She'd heard this on the thing. She wanted to. She forgot what the book was. I told her it was Total Transformation.
1-800-299-3469. That's 1-800-299-3469.
What?
1-800-299-3469.
Never mind. Go back to sleep.
Health insurance
You're
is on
confusing me
everybody's mind right now.
People on Ludes should not broadcast.
And you think it's too expensive. And you probably feel like you don't have any options. We can help.
What are
we are
Ludes?
InSphere Insurance Solutions. We offer
Did he just
health
ask?
insurance
Did he really just say that?
Yeah.
carriers nationwide.
That's what
and
the My Little
likely have
Pony
a
generation.
plan that can save you money. Whether you're self-employed,
Bet you never heard of Tie Stick either.
Ludes. What is this, Almost Famous?
or you simply don't have
No.
health insurance where you work and you need it, InSphere Insurance
Come on,
Solutions
man.
can help
Come on,
you.
Jerry every
Smart
night
money
watches at
debt.
least 3
Find
Cheech and
coverage
Chong
you can
movies before he
afford.
goes to bed.
InSphere Insurance Solutions is an authorized agency in all 50 states,
Seriously.
including the District of Columbia.
just for that, you got
Cannot
something.
Be available in all states.
for that.
800-614-1242. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242.
You just ate the most acid I've ever seen anybody eat in my life.
All right. Well, talk about Cheech and Chong there. I know it's Jerry's favorite.
man.
All right. Welcome back to the show. Nick Geber, Danny Page, World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA. Great topics today, Danny. Tomorrow we'll be back on the air 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're going to do our Premier League preview. And Danny, I'm just going to tease a little bit here. Massive match for Liverpool, and I'm not sure it's going to go the way everybody wants it to. Another massive match between Man City and Arsenal. That's really going to tell an awful lot about where each of those teams stand at the end of this one.
We'll talk about it tomorrow, Nick, but I think this Liverpool-Spurs match can eventually decide. In the end, at the end of the season, we may look at that and say, oh, that's why X team instead of Y team is in the Champions League and why the other is not.
Yeah, absolutely. So exciting stuff. We're going to break it all down for you tomorrow. So be sure, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, get out your pen and paper. And if you're in the Las Vegas area, get out your pen and paper, your betting form, go to the bank, withdraw every dime that you have, get a big stack of money, and get ready to... I'm just joking, all right? Because honestly, our picks haven't been that great over the last few weeks, but no, we are joking. But we will give you our picks and break it all down for you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, thanks to Morgan Green for coming on the show. It's great to have Morgan on, and we have a lot of folks on from World Soccer Talk. It's a great site. I encourage everybody to go there and check it out and participate. Sort of like the real down and dirty fan site for the Premier League. It's fantastic stuff. Also talk about all sorts of different football.
Yeah.
All right, Danny, you'll be back with me tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, of course. In the meantime, the programming, the beat goes on.
Yeah,
Sonny and Cher, remember that, right, Danny? Or you don't remember Sonny and Cher? No, you wouldn't remember them, right?
I have no
Yeah.
idea what you're talking about.
Okay. The beat goes on here on the Sports Byline USA radio network. Coming up next, a legend, actually. And there is only one place you get him, and that's Ron Barr. And he's coming up right next, right here on the Sports Byline USA radio network. So you be sure to stay tuned and listen to this great programming. We'll be back with you 9 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow with our Premier League preview. For me, Nick Geber, my co-host, Danny Page, it's been an absolute pleasure. Once again, thanks, Morgan Green. Cheers.
Yep.
Have a great night. We'll speak to you all tomorrow.
All right, Nick, I'll talk to you on the 23rd. Danny, take it easy, man.
Have a great time, man.
You bet.
Hey, enjoy your time away.
Pitching, yeah. You know, that was the most acid I've ever... Later.